Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman. We have news, so let us begin. The first article I have comes from Monochrome Watches, and this is a write-up of the Orient Star Skeleton. These are 39mm watches with blue hands. What do I think of these? I feel like there's an awful lot of skeleton watches out there right now, and most of them are really difficult to read. This one's kind of like that too. The hands just kind of get lost in the busyness of the movement. When it comes to skeleton watches, I like them in swatches. I love me a skeletonized swatch, but in other watches I feel like it needs to be something a bit creative or something that kind of makes it stand out. A great example is the Christopher Ward pieces where they have the tinted sapphire in front of the movement, which kind of subdues it and makes it more readable, and they look really interesting. This watch is alright. It's way too busy for me and yeah, I don't know. But if you love skeletonized watches, maybe this one's for you. The next article I have also comes from Monochrome Watches, and this is an introduction to the Atelier Wen Perception X wristwatch jade green guilloche titanium piece. I actually really like the look of these watches. The color of the dial is great and the pattern on the dial is absolutely insane. But what is the shape of that case called? One of you out there, when I did a review of this watch, my classy looking Pobeda, was asking me what shape this case is. And honestly, I have no idea. I've scoured articles on different watch case shape names. None of them had anything remotely close to this. But this jade green watch kind of reminds me of it. Maybe there is a name for this watch case shape, but not even this article mentions it. It just says that there's scallops on the sides. I will have to keep on hunting, but it's a brilliant looking watch. It is 40mm, so I would think that it would wear large, but when you look at the pictures in the article, just going by those, I would have assumed that it was like a 36 or 38. So maybe I'm totally wrong. Anyway, this watch is pretty brilliant. It's a bit spendy though, at almost $3,500. The next article I have is from Fratello Watches, and this also is a review of a watch. This time it's a Meistersinger watch. What do I think of these watches? These watches look absolutely amazing. They're very vintage. They are one-handers though, because that's what Meistersinger is known for. I don't think they make any watches that aren't single-handers. But this watch is all dial with a great looking crystal on it, and the coolest thing I think is they're available in 36mm or 40mm. You have choices. The green color of that dial is simply amazing looking, and I love the kind of speedometer looking hand that's on there. So cool. Yeah, these watches are pretty amazing looking. And they sell for around $1,000. So you would have to be kind of committed to the one-hander thing. They aren't just cheap watches you can buy to see what you think of it, so they are a commitment at about $1,000. But they look amazing. The next article I have also comes from our friends over at Monochrome Watches. This is an introduction to a square-shaped watch. These are the DePancel Serie R Cruiser watches. What do I think of these watches? It's interesting just how many watches there are out there that are inspired by racing or automobiles. Craziness. And I guess maybe that makes sense. I think there's quite a bit of overlap between people who like watches and cars, kind of like there is with musicians and martial arts. Very interesting. I do like these watches. The dial's pretty busy for me, but it's very interesting looking. There's lots of depth to the dial. So it's not just flat, there are elements at different levels. And I like the texture in the center of the dial. But even more than the watch, and I do love me some square watches, yeah, is that crazy strap. That is so amazing looking. The lines in there and the way they're framed in. I need to get me one of those. That is so cool. It works really well with the watch, with the green hints in the dial and whatnot. But man, it almost outshines the watch because it's so cool and unique. Absolutely crazy. If you're a fan of the Monaco, you might like these watches. I don't know what they're like in person though. They seem a little bit large at 36 by 42 for a square shaped piece, but with that strap, the larger size probably would look cool. And the price isn't bad. They're around $700 or so. And we have one last piece from Monochrome Watches, and it's another introduction, a whole night of introductions and reviews. This is an introduction to a new orange and black Mito Multifort Skeleton. Vertigo? Skeleton Vertigo. So yes, we have another skeleton watch. What do I think of this? I do like the way the skeletonized dial is just in that center part there. That's kind of cool. So you have some legibility around the edges, and the skeleton, being able to see the movement there is kind of just an added visual aesthetic to the watch. But sadly, I have to say, one, at 42 millimeters, it's quite large for this style of watch, and two, it kind of looks like watches you would find on Wish. I'm so sorry, Mito, but yeah, I swear I've seen pieces nearly identical to this for like $5 on Wish. And maybe it's not Mito's fault. Maybe the problem is with Wish, flooding the market with watches that look kind of similar to more expensive pieces, but they sell for like $5 or $10, maybe $20. You have enough of those out there, and pretty soon those styles kind of start getting associated with cheap, crappy Wish watches. Well, that's a sad way to end the news day, but thanks for watching.